And then we come to the most mad part. How thick do they are tracking them down? They are on their tail. Oh.
Meghan Markle hits back at critics after brutal verdict surfaces for major achievement. The Duchess of Sussex has been lately enjoying her streak of success, including her Emmy nomination, MasterChef debut, release of Cookie Queens, and even the reunion with King Charles. However, these achievements do not come without criticism, which is reportedly making Meghan feeling vindicated that all this is just jealousy. Meghan is beyond excited about getting this nomination, a source told Closer magazine. She sees it as proof that the show struck a chord with the people that matter. Some critics have claimed that Meghan wheedled her show into the nominations, especially since it has already been canceled on Netflix. They have complained that the numbers of the show didn't warrant the recognition. There are a lot of people convinced she somehow wheedled her way to the nomination, whether that's fair or not, they added. Emmy campaigning can be catty and competitive at the best of times, but with so many people questioning whether she even deserved the nod, it's especially vicious. However, she is not letting that affect her good fortune and the streak she has been enjoying. She knows that the backlash will only get more intense as the Emmy Awards ceremony inches closer. As far as she's concerned, she's earned the right to celebrate this moment, and she's not going to let anyone take that away from her, the source added. If she takes home the prize on Emmy night, even better, but either way she's going to make the most of this, no matter how many people try to tear her down. There is a phrase being whispered in media circles right now that you don't often hear attached to Meghan Markle's name anymore, and that phrase is winning streak. After years of setbacks, legal battles, canceled projects, and a narrative that seemed to be slipping further and further out of her control, something has shifted. And the step she has just taken may be the most calculated, and potentially most consequential, move she has made since leaving royal life behind. Fair or not, and we'll get into why that qualifier matters so much, this could change everything. To understand why this moment carries so much weight, you have to go back to the beginning of what I'd call the post-Megxit era. When Meghan and Harry stepped back from their senior royal duties in early 2020, the public narrative was complicated from day one. There was sympathy, certainly, particularly after the Oprah interview in 2021 laid out, in Meghan's own words, just how isolating and distressing her time within the institution had been. But there was also significant backlash, and not just from the usual corners of the British tabloid press. Polling consistently showed that Meghan remained one of the most divisive public figures in the United Kingdom, and her approval ratings on this side of the Atlantic never truly recovered from those early years. The couple arrived in California with enormous ambitions. The Netflix deal, the Spotify podcast, the memoir, the charitable endeavors through the Archie Foundation, it was meant to be a reinvention on their own
magazine in France or Australia or Europe. Exactly.
Terms. And for a brief period, it seemed like it might work. Harry's memoir Spare sold in extraordinary numbers. The Netflix docuseries drew massive viewership, but the cultural conversation around them was never straightforward. Every success seemed to be accompanied by a controversy, a contradiction, or a story that undermined the momentum. Sources close to the couple during that period have described a constant sense of 2 steps forward, 1 step back. Meghan, in particular, was navigating not just public perception, but the very real challenge of rebuilding a personal brand in one of the most competitive entertainment markets in the world, while simultaneously being one of the most scrutinized women on the planet. And then things began to quietly unravel. The Spotify deal ended. Several of the more ambitious Archie projects were shelved or significantly scaled back. Reports suggested tension behind the scenes with various creative partners. The narrative, which had never been entirely in their favor, began to feel increasingly difficult to control. Palace insiders, speaking to various royal correspondents over the past 2 years, have consistently described a sense within royal circles that Meghan's reinvention was struggling to find its footing. Not with any particular satisfaction, sources suggest, but as a simple observation of the facts on the ground. So when I tell you that she has now taken a step that is being described, even by those who are not her natural supporters, as genuinely strategic and potentially game-changing, I want you to understand just how significant that assessment is. The tension at the heart of Meghan's public image has always been this. She wants to be taken seriously as an entrepreneur, a humanitarian, and a public figure in her own right, entirely separate from her royal connections. And yet her royal connections are inextricably woven into every story told about her. Every business venture is reported through the lens of her time at the palace. Every success or failure is measured against the backdrop of the life she left behind. This is, some would argue, deeply unfair. She made a choice, she left, and yet the institution she left continues to define how the world sees her. But others would point out that she also made considerable use of that royal identity when it suited her. and that the line between distancing oneself from the crown and leveraging its cultural power is one she has walked with considerable ambiguity. That ambiguity is precisely what makes her latest move so fascinating. Reports suggest that Meghan has made a decisive shift in how she is positioning her personal brand, moving away from the more combative tell-all framing that characterized the earlier post-royal years, and towards something that feels considerably more polished, more aspirational, and more deliberately aligned with the kind of lifestyle and wellness space that has proven enormously lucrative for other high-profile women. Her new venture, the American Riviera Orchard brand, which was teased earlier this year, appears to be central to this repositioning. According to industry insiders who have spoken to entertainment and business publications, the brand is being developed with significant professional expertise behind it, drawing on experienced marketing and product development teams who understand exactly how to build in this space. But the step I'm referring to goes beyond the brand itself. Sources indicate that Meghan has been quietly but deliberately cultivating a new set of relationships with figures in the American media, cultural, and philanthropic landscape who exist entirely outside the royal ecosystem. People for whom the Windsor family is simply background noise, not the defining context. And in doing so, she appears to be attempting something that has proven genuinely difficult for her until now, creating a version of herself in the public eye that does not need the royal story to make sense. The turning point, according to reports that have emerged over the past several weeks, came with a series of appearances and public moments that were noticeably different in tone from anything we have seen from her in recent years. Gone, at least for now, was the explicit grievance narrative. Gone were the pointed references to palace mistreatment, the emotional weight of estrangement, the framework of victim and institution. What appeared in its place was something closer to pure aspiration. Meghan presenting herself not as someone who survived the royal family, but as someone who simply moved
that there is a bounty on their head.
on and built something new. This reframing did not go unnoticed. Royal commentators on both sides of the Atlantic observed the shift almost immediately. Several journalists who have covered the couple closely noted, with varying degrees of surprise, that the more combative energy that had defined so much of the post-Megxit public narrative seemed to have been deliberately dialed down. Whether this represents a genuine personal evolution or a calculated strategic decision, and those two things are not mutually exclusive, is a matter of debate. But the effect has been tangible. Media coverage, at least in certain quarters, has begun to shift. The tone of some pieces has moved from skeptical to cautiously interested, which, for anyone who has tracked how Meghan has been covered in mainstream media over the past 5 years, is not a small thing. The immediate reaction from royal watchers and the broader British public has been predictably mixed. There are those who see this repositioning as entirely legitimate, a woman making smart decisions about her future and refusing to remain trapped in a narrative that was not serving her. And there are those who view it with deep skepticism, questioning whether a change in presentation represents a genuine change in direction or simply a new strategy aimed at the same end goals. Palace sources, speaking carefully as they always do, have offered little official comment, which is itself a form of commentary. The silence from the institution has historically been one of its most powerful tools. What this means in the longer term is genuinely uncertain, and anyone who tells you otherwise is probably overreaching. The British public's relationship with Meghan Markle is not a simple thing, and it is not going to be transformed by a single brand launch or a shift in media strategy. The wounds from the Oprah interview, from Harry's memoir, from the Netflix docuseries, those are not forgotten on this side of the Atlantic. And the affection that many in the UK still feel for the wider royal family means that any attempt by Meghan to rewrite her story will be scrutinized with considerable intensity.